person's life, we think of all the good qualities of that person, whether they're still with us or whether they've gone from us. We think of things about that person we admire. When I think of my Noni, there are many qualities that I admire. In fact, I think I can sum up many of Noni's qualities in a paragraph in the New Testament. As I read this passage, I think you'll agree that this describes who she was. In 1 Corinthians chapter 13, it says, "Love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it is not rude, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails." Noni showed us his love. She showed us in ways that we recognize, and even in some ways that aren't so recognizable. Just as this passage describes what love is, it describes the way Noni showed her love to all of us. And I wonder if she was even aware of the fact that she was fulfilling the scripture, or if it was just simply a part of who she was. Love is patient. In such a large family as ours, anyone would have plenty of opportunities to disagree or give somebody what for. But Noni kept her peace. I think she would often bite her tongue, knowing difficulties would eventually work themselves out. Love is kind. Even though she didn't get around to all the grandchildren as much as I'm sure that she would have liked, I always saw how kind she was towards them by the way she would dote on the newest baby in the family, or in the ways that she would just have nice things to say to the great-grandkids. Love is not envious, boastful, or proud. If Noni was ever any of these things, I never saw it. She was a content, meek, and humble woman. I remember when we had her surprise 85th birthday party. When she walked into the room full of dozens of people that were all there for her, she was stunned. It took her a few seconds to even realize what was happening. I think we all remember the look on her face and her reaction. She was so happy that she cried. You could see her humility in that moment. She wasn't used to being the center of attention. Noni was the kind of person that was happy to sit off to the side and quietly watch and listen to others. I'm sure all of us at one time or another, while at family gathering, had observed her like this. She would always engage us in conversations, but those were usually one-on-one. But in a group, she would normally just sit and listen and enjoy everybody else's conversations. She would look at whoever was talking, maybe adding a little here and there, but not usually saying too much. If something was said and she just couldn't keep quiet, sometimes it would just be like a one-word comment, and more times than not, that comment would be, "Jimmy." Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. As adults, we can think back to an event or a conversation from our childhood. We may not remember anything else about a particular day, but one thing that someone said or did, or a particular event, may stand out in our mind. I remember one such time. I was about 5 years old, and we were at Noni's house. Noni and my mom were sitting on the couch folding laundry, and I was playing on the floor. And Noni was telling Mom about an incident that she had while driving. The sentence that I specifically remember her saying was this: "As he drove past me, he yelled, 'Kiss my,' but I didn't hear the rest." Now, I think in a small way, that was Noni's way of not delighting in evil. She could have easily said what we all know came next, but her grandkids were there, and she showed love that day. Love always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. I think about where Noni was from, who her family was, and what she left behind in Maine. She was raised in a large traditional Italian family. She had beautiful parents and wonderful siblings. What a wonderful life it must have been for her there, and how hard it was for her to leave to come here. She told me a story about a year ago about how when she first came here, she was very sad and very afraid. She said as they were coming into Wood River, she could see all the lights of the tall buildings. She asked Grampy the next day to take her to that city so she could go shopping. Grampy told her, "That's not a city, that's an oil refinery." A big, stinky oil refinery. a far cry from the beautiful coastal surroundings she was used to. She told me she cried again and wanted to go home. So how did Noni demonstrate protection, trust, hope, and perseverance? She showed us in the choices that she made. The sacrifice for her family, to stay here, to watch out for her own. After Grandpa passed away, she could have easily moved back home to be around her family there. Sorry. But I think she stayed here because she knew that we needed her here. The better question might be is, how does she continue to demonstrate these qualities and all these things even in her death? She's left us a rich heritage, and she's left us her legacy. With her passing, we are now individually entrusted to celebrate and continue our heritage, but most importantly, continue her legacy. Her heritage is where she came from and who we all are today. Her legacy is the example of faithfulness, bravery, and family. Those are the things that she showed us in the way that she lived her life. She didn't leave us houses or land or money. She left us with each other. She was the cornerstone of this family, the knot that tied us all together, the common bond between all of us. I believe she would want us to continue to be a family, to hold the important things close. I believe if Noni could speak to us today, she would say, continue with what I've started. You are a gift to each other. See each other often. Make room for each other in your lives. Be patient, be kind to each other, be forgiving towards each other. Always trust, always hope, always persevere. Because my family,